One of the biggest and most important things about learning a language is remembering vocabulary. Listen to this. Have you ever learned a new word, but when the time comes that you need to use the vocabulary, you can't open your mouth and speak? Despite the fact that it took you a lot of time to memorize, write, and repeat, but you still forget the words. It's like the words are trapped at the back of your head and then they just won't come out. So how do you activate these memorized vocabularies that are just simply stuck in your head? That's what we're going to talk about today. How many words should you learn every day? Now, there's no definite answer to this because learning a language depends on mental strength or emotional resilience. This is how you effectively deal with challenges, pressures, and stressors you face every day. And that you should know what is reasonable in your situation. For example, if you are working two jobs to pay the bills, you may not have energy and strength to practice or to learn new words or a bunch of new words every day because you are tired and emotionally and physically drained. So the biggest tip I'd like to share with you is rather than repeating 30 to 50 words per day without even understanding how to use these words, try to at least learn 2 to 5 new words per day and really digest and understand how to use them. Next, you need to ask yourself, do I even use this word very often, even in my native language? If I learn this word, am I able to use it in a conversation? Here's an example. Let's go to the topic of healthcare. There is no importance in memorizing technical healthcare vocabularies like hematoma, for example. Instead of saying hematoma, you can simply just say bruise. Then what you should do is you should add it to your vocabulary notebook, or what I'd like to call vocabulary bank. You list the most common verbs in your notebook, and then you list the most common adjectives in your notebook, and go from there. Over time, you will just fill this vocabulary bank as you consistently learn. Now that you have all these vocabularies in your vocabulary bank, the next step is to activate these new vocabularies that are now in your head so they won't get buried away in your subconscious. Like, the most important thing is to use these vocabularies as naturally and as correctly as much as possible to communicate with people. Rather than repeating and memorizing, try to figure out how to use these vocabularies as much as possible. Now, the best way for that is through immersion. By immersion, meaning you go and stay in an English-speaking country. The problem, however, is not all of us have the luxury and the financial capacity to fund that experience. Which brings us to the second way. The second way is to speak with speaking partners. You can A, do a language exchange, which is absolutely free. You can find a teacher, an English teacher, that can help you with your speaking. And if you do not have those opportunities, you can practice by yourself. It could be practicing just in front of the mirror. You can even try to talk with yourself. Another thing is what you can do is you can have a mini blog. What you can do is record 30 to 60 seconds of videos filming yourself as you speak. You can talk about how your day went, what did you learn today, or your reflection for the day. And having these mini blogs can really help you with your speaking. And the great thing is you can actually have a mini diary wherein you can even look back at your previous videos to see how much you've progressed. Now the next step is review. Review all the words in your vocabulary bank or your vocabulary notebook so that it will stick to your brain. Now, when should you review? So when you should be reviewing depends on your situation. You have to tailor your review time that makes sense for your situation. Now let's take a look at those two profiles. first profile is you're a person working 2 jobs to pay the bills, and the second person is an entrepreneur working a job while taking care of a 2-year-old. From that person, you may not have time because you have 2 jobs that you need to prioritize. But what you could do is probably you can review those new vocabularies during your commute time. Rather than staring out, doing nothing, or sitting there doing nothing, you can pull out your flashcards, your Anki cards, or whatever you use to store your vocabulary bank, and then try to review them. And similarly, for this person working a job while having a business and taking care of a 2-year-old, you could probably find time once your toddler is asleep. That's the time that you can rest and pull out your vocabulary notebook to start reviewing. And that's it for today. I hope you find my tips very useful. If you have tips of your own that you would like to share, please comment them down below.